Hi, thanks again for tuning in to Sin's Work. So today we're going to be talking about Little Creeping Things by Chelsea Ichaso. This is a young adult thriller that follows an unreliable narrator as she struggles to reconcile her past with her present. And it was published by Sourcebooks Fire. I really did like this novel, but I will say it does have a very slow beginning. Just because it's kind of luring you into the unreliable narrative of the protagonist. While it is slow, the tension is up there. So yes, it has a slow pacing, but high tension. It starts with her, she's playing volleyball and she sees flames out of nowhere. No, she's not psychic. It's just something from her past, some haunting memory that she just can't seem to remember clearly. But it's haunted her entire life. It's made her, the target for bullies to call her Fire Girl, and it's made her pretty much isolate herself for the most part. And I can honestly say that the novel did throw me through a loop. The author really did a good job with misdirection in this novel. You think it's one person, then you think it's another. You have suspicions that it's this person, but no real evidence. So and then you're constantly questioning the sanity of this main narrator. She's in her secret hideout. She hears someone go missing. She doesn't actually see anything, and she doesn't actually hear someone go missing. She just sort of hears talking and then nothing. But it all plays out similar to how she imagined this girl disappearing and dying, because the girl that does go missing is her longtime bully. So of course she has, in times of stress, she's imagined doing away with her, and the events of the girl going missing happen exactly as you had planned. Her notebook is missing. There's a lot of evidence pointing to her. She doesn't know quite who she can trust. She's not completely honest with her best friend. She's very secretive. So it kind of puts her in sort of an unstable position because she doesn't really know what's going on. And there's lots of misdirection of who the person is that is trying to frame her for this murder. So it has a lot of tension to keep the story very strong for the reader, and I really like that, and I really appreciate the fact that the narrator is unreliable, but it does put some strain on the reader as well, because you kind of just want her to just tell her best friend what the situation is, and she waits too long to do that. But then at the same time, you're also suspecting her best friend. You're suspecting a lot of people in the novel. You are suspecting who the killer is. You don't really find out until the very end, and when the ending is revealed, you're like, what? In hindsight, there's not a lot to tip you off, to him. There's not really a lot of evidence, and that's why I think it's great. The fact that you really don't see it coming at all. At least I didn't see it coming. And the fact that the killer is also kind of stalking her with photos and images and telling her, hey, we're in this together now. It puts a lot of strain on the narration, and it creates a lot of tension. So it does have some very good pacing to it. It does have some good development to it as well, and I think that's what I liked about it the most, the pacing and how addicting it is. It does have excellent pacing to it. It does have, an excellent narrative to it as well. And I like the fact that Cassidy is very unreliable. You know, a lot of her narrative is very unhinged. It's unhinged. It's unreliable. Sorry, I had to drink a cup of my coffee. So there's so much tension to keep the pacing and the momentum of the story very high. There are some scenes that are a little repetitive, I will say this. However, as repetitive as they may seem, they don't disrupt the flow of the story, and they don't disrupt the character development. They are repetitive for a reason. You know, once again, unreliable narrator. So the repetition is there, but at least it serves a purpose. And it doesn't disrupt the flow or the pacing or the tension. And in fact, some of those repetitive scenes, they sort of raise the tension between the character dynamics. And I think that's really strong storytelling, because you're showing the reader how untrustworthy Cassidy is. You're showing the reader how unstable she is at times, how grief-stricken and fear-ridden and just paranoid she is about the whole thing. So, the repetition is there, but it serves a purpose, and it doesn't disrupt the flow. So, while I'll say yes, there are repetitive scenes, at least they do serve a purpose for the overall storytelling. And at least they do lend something to the character development, because Cassidy, you know, she does grow as a character. You know, she learns to let people in. She's been an outcast for most of her life, so she doesn't really have that many friends. But as she starts to open the door, and as she starts to let people in, people who do want to be her friends, you know, she's always fearful that no one's really going to be her friend. You know, it happens with people who are bullied for so long, and who have gone through something traumatic, because she has gone through something traumatic. It's an eye-opening experience for her, that she doesn't have to keep everything to herself, that she can trust certain people, but it also is a teaching lesson for her, because if she had just trusted the authorities sooner rather than later, you know, there's so many things that could have been avoided with the storytelling. So she just has to focus on who she is and who she wants to be, because silence, her paranoia, it just makes her as culpable as the person committing the crimes. You know, she wants to solve everything by herself so that she can, for selfish reasons mostly, because she doesn't want to incriminate herself, but by doing so, you know, she's allowing the crimes to happen, because she's not trusting the right people. She's not trusting anyone. She's not opening, you know, the doors. She's not saying what needs to be said. She's keeping it all bottled up, and she's keeping it all secret, which is very detrimental to her. But it does create good tension, lots of inner turmoil, lots of inner conflict that serves a purpose in highlighting just how unreliable she is as a person and as a narrator. But other than that, you know, I thought it was a decent story. I did give it 4 stars, because, you know, there really is no Unicode for half stars. In reality, I think I would give it 3.5 stars. But for the purposes of my website and for Goodreads, I did give it 4 stars, because I really did think it was a good story. I love the tension. I love the pacing. I love how quickly it moved from one event to another to another. You know, it moves really quickly. It really grabs the reader's attention, and it is unpredictable. You know, there's lots of red herrings in the story that keep the revelation at the ending, you know, surprising. And I like it when a novel surprises me. I always appreciate it when a novel keeps me at the edge of my toes and keeps me guessing, keeps me wondering just who is the, culprit here. I like a story that does that. And this story does do that quite successfully, I think. So once again, this was Little Creeping Things by Chelsea Ichaso, published by Sourcebook Fire. Little man's getting antsy. Check this out from your library's digital catalog. And if you're able to, money is not too tight, please order the book from your local bookseller. Once again, this was Little Creeping Things by Chelsea Ichaso. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.